It's time for another episode of Raising Courageous Leaders by Mr. Bonnke Shipalana. That's my dad.
Hi, my name is Bonnke Shipalana and welcome to another exciting episode of The Power Within. Thank you so much for all the previous communication. Please keep them coming and send them to powerofone@bonnke.co.za. Life is described through what I define as a time funnel or a time glass. We always talk about the past, the present, or the future. We define a life based on what we did in the past, or what we're actually doing right now, or what we plan to do in the future. In my life, sadly, I have experienced and seen so many people who tend to take the past and make it a reality for the present and the future. Sometimes positively, sometimes negatively. I have seen people who experienced pain many years ago and they define themselves based on that particular painful period of their life. Some lost money, some lost their businesses, some lost their loved ones, some got raped. A painful moment in your life should not define who you are today and what you're going to do in the future. On the other side, I have seen people who had something great happen to them in the past and they use that to define who they are today and define who they want to be in the future. It can be a successful business venture. It can be a title. It can be a promotion. So even though it happened 20 years ago, they still refer to that as who they are today. People who use the past to define today or better tomorrow are individuals who focus on facts and not the truth. I'll repeat. People who always use the past to define or describe their present or the future at all times are individuals who believe and know facts about themselves but have no clue or understanding the truth about who they are. You might be asking, is there a difference between fact and truth? Yes, there is. It's a difference between a pile of bricks and the St. Paul's Cathedral. Facts are like an isolated, stray piece of a puzzle. Truth, on the other hand, is all about meaning. Facts are part of the truth, but not the entire truth. Facts relate to what happened to me. Truth focuses on this is who I am. So the real question that I'm asking you today is, are you going to define or describe who you are based on facts? Or are you going to describe or define who you are based on truth? Remember, people learn from you in terms of how you define or describe yourself, and they use the same words and feelings to describe who you are. So you are in charge of what or how you want the world to perceive or know you. Most people prefer to define themselves based on facts because they don't know the truth about who they are. Most individuals prefer to define themselves based on the past because they have no understanding or meaning of who they're going to be in the future, who they want to be in the future. They only know themselves based on what they've gone through, only know themselves based on where they come from, and have no understanding or knowledge of where they are going. Brothers and sisters, the truth will always, at all time, trump facts. There are so many individuals that we know who were successful in the past, but their future never matched their past. There are so many individuals who had painful experience in the past, but their future became brighter. Your truth, your future will always be better than the past. You must be asking then, Bonnke, who am I? Unfortunately, I am not your creator. I won't be able to answer that question. It's only the creator who knows the purpose of an item before he or she created. Before someone created or produced this pen, they understood there was a need for something to use in order to capture information by writing. Then they came up with a plan. So the need existed, and then the product came up second. The same thing applies to me and you. God knew that there would be a need in the world. And then after that, he created you. So you were created for a particular purpose on earth. You don't believe me? Let's read Jeremiah 1 verse 5, and it reads as follows. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before I formed you, physical, tangible human being, I knew you. That is your purpose. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. What Jeremiah 1 verse 5 is teaching us that before we were formed, there was a truth about you. Before you were formed, there was a future in you. Today, I'd like to encourage you to go and engage the Creator. Go and engage Him and ask Him, why did you create me? What is my future? What is my role on earth? What is my purpose on earth? It's only then that you can have the confidence to always describe yourself based on the future, regardless of what you're going through now, regardless that your business is not going well, regardless that your marriage is suffering, regardless that your finances are struggling. You can always define or describe yourself based on what God has planted in you. This was another exciting episode of The Power Within, where we raise courageous leaders.
Raising courageous leaders. Thank you, Dad. You better subscribe to the Power Within TV channel. Do it now.